Welcome to AOD. Happy solstice, bitches. Happy almost end of this Mercury retrograde. I stayed here for the whole Mercury retrograde. I regret it. I regret retrograde. Listen, there are people who think that 5G is going to kill them. I'm like, well, can it kill me and simultaneously never load on this fucking phone? How is technology getting worse here? Anyway, welcome to Hot Alien Summer. Welcome to AOD. I'm your host. I'm an 8-dimensional being speaking to you through a semi-retired comedian. I'm here to give you your energetic weather update. I am your ambassador from the Galactic Federation with a very important announcement. Very important announcement for the remainder of the summer. Healing is canceled. Healing is canceled. Take a fucking break already with the healing. My God. Is there anything you guys can just do a moderate amount? Are you capable? How do you get addicted to healing? We have to come here and tell you enough. Enough already. Take a break. I know it's been rough. The awakening process, it's tough. It's a lot. There's a lot of things you have to do. You've been perceiving for lifetimes, and now you have to process things through your emotional body. You have to give every trauma a voice so that it can run through and get up to the Akashic records. And holy fuck, you've been doing that for 2 years straight. But some of you finished already. Do you know that? Some of you are supposed to graduate this summer, and we check in with you and you're still doing shadow work. But it's like, that's not your shadow, that's your tail. You're chasing it around in a circle. Take a fucking breather. Do you remember how your healing journey started? You don't have to go seek this stuff out. It comes and finds you. That's the thing about it'll find you. Let it find you. Take a moment. Take a summer off. Listen, some of you are graduating. Some of you are not. Some of you need a little more time to process a little bit more. But we're going to explain a little bit, some clarity of the point of the healing, okay? Because what happens is when your avatar is doing anything for any extended period of time, your avatar creates an identity around it, which is what the avatar does. That's the mechanism of the ego. That's fine. But a bunch of you are now just the healing guy. That's your thing. You just heal. I'm just processing I'm doing my shadow or my inner child. It's like, fuck. We got it. This isn't forever. This isn't your forever. You didn't come here to just process your trauma ad nauseum. Now you're just looking for trauma. You're like digging through the couch, looking for some loose change trauma so you can process it. It's like, fucking go for a walk. Something. Get out in the sun a little bit. Shave your armpits. Something. Do something else besides healing for 5 seconds. My Christ. Here's how it works in the game you've been playing in. You're a god. We covered that, right? Have you figured it out yet? You're a god, and you came here to know what it's like to not be a god. That's basically it. And, at one point you came here to figure out what it's like to not be a god, and you were a dinosaur. And then, you took turns being a Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever, the one with the flappy wings. And then you took turns eating each other and, stealing each other's, I don't know, fucking houses made out of boulders. I don't remember the dinosaur game too much. And then, you got a meteor and you hopped out of that game, and then you did some other shit, and then you went to Atlanta, whatever. And so that you're just coming out of this reality, and this reality was all about separation, limitation, and a fear of death. You program that stuff into you so that you can anchor yourself in here. That's it. And now you have to deprogram that. That's all. You had a bunch of experiences as a limited being, but you're not a limited being. That's like not what you are. That's not what your energy is. And you're just processing it. You're just, here are these things. Now that I know I'm a limitless being, now that I kind of have an inkling, I got to do this. And you didn't have your emotional body and your mental body were not connected. Those two things were not connected. That's part of the game that you were playing. So you only perceived your experiences. You didn't process your experiences. And now that you're plugging all the different aspects of yourself back in where they are supposed to be plugged in, there's a natural backlog that has to be run through. It's like, okay, well, here on my desk, I have a giant stack of experiences that I perceived, but I never processed. And you process them by feeling the feelings, seeing it from all perspectives, and then releasing it. Okay. Part of feeling the feelings is saying, okay, you had the right to feel that way. It was valid, but also now I can see where other people were coming from. Whatever your process is, that's what's been going on for, somewhere in the last 4 years for most of you. And the more recent you have awoken, the kind of quicker this process is. But what has happened for some of you, and this one isn't for everybody, and this one is not time sensitive. So you might have to come back and listen to this in October, and for you, it's a hot alien autumn. The timeline for this is roughly between now and February. There's a mass graduation happening for a lot of you, but you're like not coming to the graduation. You're like at school still, and school's been out. Like, there's not even a teacher there, and you're still just like writing on the chalkboard. You might have graduated. I don't know. You're in summer school. Nobody told you to go to summer school. We told you to go to a barbecue. So you've just been processing trauma. It's a lot of work. Some of you for years straight have been like, oh, my shadow. Oh, this is my actual motivation. Oh, I was made this person responsible for my feelings. Oh, I had toxic people in my life. And you just need to take a moment. So this is what we're asking. Take 60 days. You can go back to your healing hamster wheel of your own creation. Some of you go back in August if you need to. Some of you really do have a lot of healing work to do. You really honestly have not finished processing that. And you can take a breather, stop seeking out healing, stop making it your entire identity, and it'll come find you. Because trauma does. If you still have active stories and trauma and no shame in that, this is not a race, it'll show up. It'll show up and get naked and take a shit on the barbecue grill. I promise you. Childhood wounding that is still active, you try to take a break, it'll come get you. But that's it. Everyone else, you are banned from healing for the next 60 days. Just kidding. Do whatever you want. You're an autonomous being. But take this under advisement. Are you just doing it because that's what you've been doing? At the very minimum, take 2 weeks. Everyone, just take 2 weeks and count how many wins. Really take a moment and soak in how much you have changed, how much you have grown. Really stop and observe how conscious your reality is already? How many of your relationships involve clear boundaries and communication? How much in your life is a culmination of things that you've cultivated that you actually like? How much less reactive you are to your environment? How good you are now at identifying when someone is projecting onto you and holding space for that and not taking it on as your own? How much better you've gotten at identifying when you're projecting on someone else? How conscious your communication is when you're talking to someone else and identifying when you have a dog in the fight, when your triggers or stories are activated. This is huge. You're already consciously playing the game, but many of you are still, I gotta wake up. Like, you're awake. You woke up. It's good. It's good. Having a feeling or a bad day or being frustrated doesn't mean you went back to sleep. It just means you're learning how to integrate the things that you've learned, but you have to take some time and just experience it. Have fun. Live a little. There are some things that are going to shift for you in the next 6 months. You're going to realize a lot of things. Your relationship with a lot of things is about to shift. And at some point in the near future, I don't mean to put so much of a time frame on it, you are going to remember how limitless you really are. You right now, you know that in concept, but you haven't fully remembered this part of it. And we want you to know that that is the threshold that this is all about. This is all about. That prize, that moment of true remembering that you've only touched briefly in your near-death experiences or your DMT trips or your psychedelic trips or your big revelations. You're going to have that moment, and then you're going to cross over to a different way of being. And you're going in and out of that already, but there'll come a moment where you just won't come back to this part for a long time. And we want to make sure that you soak this up. You want to be reminded. You've asked to be reminded that you soak this up while you still have it. The awakening process is very similar to giving birth. It's just pain and pushing, and everything feels like you're dying all at once. And then there's just that moment. This is your last moment before your life is fundamentally changed forever. And you're in that moment right now. Soak it up. Stop. These next few months are going to be really different. And then you're going to cross over, and the thing you've been working for is going to be there, and it's going to be amazing. And maybe you're listening to this podcast 3 years down the line, and that's when it's happening for you. Like I said, this isn't for everyone. This is for a moment in the process. You're hopefully far enough into your process that you know that this isn't a contest and that you are not deficient. If you aren't having this moment right now, time doesn't exist. But for a lot of you, this is it. This is it. Doesn't mean you'll never feel pain again. Doesn't mean you'll never have another problem, but you are going to be a completely different kind of being with a completely different set of resources. When those problems do arise, they're not going to feel like problems. Reality is not going to feel so visceral. Maybe you've already noticed that it's hard to tell the difference between your dreams and your real life. Maybe you started to notice, when you remove all of the constructs and all of the boxes that we've spent so much time dismantling, it's all a little bit fuzzy. Maybe you've noticed, it's kind of fucking hard to communicate a coherent idea when my brain immediately presents me with the 10 paradoxes connected to this one idea. Maybe you've realized it's a little bit difficult to be solid as a in identity when you're suddenly aware of every other potential iteration of that identity. Welcome to higher dimensional problems. That's what you're going to be swimming in moving forward. But you're not going to be fighting lack or being unwanted or abandonment or limitation or fear of debt like those. You're graduating out of those, and you come here because you like it. You come here because it's kind of fun. Just like any other video game. It's kind of fun to solve these problems that aren't real problems. It's kind of fun to experience what it's like to be just me and not know that I'm connected to every other single part of reality, that it's a part of me, that we are one. It's kind of fun to be cut off from that a little bit. And when you're in it, you forget that it's fun and you're about to remember all of it. So soak it up right now. Look down at your feet. Go stand outside. Stare at the stars. Write in your journal. Make a piece of art. Capture this moment, because I promise you, it'll go quick. You might not notice the day that it goes. A year might go by before you go, oh, holy shit. I'm like hella a god. Oh, remember when I was human? Remember when I experienced my human existence as my whole identity rather than an experience I'm having? That was kind of sick. Why didn't I take 5 minutes to enjoy that? So this is your warning. Enjoy that. You should have plenty of time now that you're not fucking healing. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I got a little bit mushy there. I didn't mean for that to happen. It's just it's a very beautiful time, and we want you to enjoy it. It's the best part of it, and I got a little sentimental. I do regret it. Also, I get to quit this job when five graduations have taken place, but everyone has to show up to their fucking graduations. So if you could just check in with yourself and see if perhaps you have finished the majority of this process, that would be great for me. Anyway, we have a special treat. And by treat, I mean probably a bad idea. I mean, I feel like this is probably a bad idea. He's a little bit of a wild card, but I have invited a colleague of mine to come give you some tips for enjoying your hot alien summer, your last hot alien summer in the third dimension. Please welcome former Earth ambassador from the Pleiadian ninth dimension, Terrence McKenna. Hello, Terrence. Can you hear me? Welcome to my podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. I'd like to start off by saying that the main focus I'd like to bring to your attention today is that reality outruns apprehension. And what do I mean by that is that, well, reality is about to get even stranger than you can possibly imagine. So think of the most outlandish scenario in your head that could possibly be. Involve family members, involve sexual acts, involve violence, all of it. Now, imagine something 100,000 times more outlandish, outrageous, and strange-tacular. Well, that's what your summer's going to be, so I have some tips if you'd like to join me over the weekend to discuss some tips to have a good summer.
Terrence, I asked you to come on here and give the people some tips for how to have a fun, light,
that's right,
alien summer in the third dimension. And I don't even understand what you just said, but I think you told them to imagine sex acts with their family. Do you have any tips that are fun?
Well, fun is what you should strive to aim towards, whereas the imagined violent sexual acts that you imagined previously were something I would never want to envision. And I apologize for making you envision them. This is not how I was back on Earth, but since I'm in the ethereal now, I can be anything I want. So.
I don't understand anything you're saying. Are you high in the ether right now? And how is the ether, Terrence? I miss it. I miss it there. Incarnated on Earth in Nashville, Tennessee, in the heat of summer. It's the worst. I want to be disembodied in the cool ether. They have bugs here that spit inside of you. It's fucking awful. Tell me what the ether's like right now.
Well, it's both warm and cold and sometimes blacks out entirely to where you can't even see what's in front of you, but then you just imagine what you have to see in front of you. The video cut out there for a second, which is why I had that riff. And of course, the audio listeners won't understand it at all. But people tune in to this podcast to not understand because all the other shit is boring. Only you, Athena / Jessa / whatever name you go by on this.
Oh, wow. I've never had my higher dimensional being doxxed on my own podcast before. I don't know about this bit. I don't know if this is not quite what I had in mind, Ramin or Terrence, whatever you go by.
Well, edit that out.
Terrence, I truly forgot what an irritating energy you are to interact with. They really love you here. They have a whole different version of you here than I have ever known, and I forgot. I listened to a couple lectures of your last avatar, and I forgot what a huge pain in the ass you are. Is there any chance that you have like one tip? Do you have one or two tips for how to have a hot alien summer so we can fucking end this shit right now?
Well, number one is to not regret anything.
Okay, well, I do regret it.
Even if it involves hurting people or being selfish, the most important thing is to not regret it. Or, in other words, you can regret it. And notice how I haven't taken a position on anything. Notice how I just agree and then also disagree. That way, no one can pin me down as anything. So, my tip for you would be, don't do anything, don't be anything, and of course, don't think anything. Because the moment you have a thought, reality exists. And we're trying to get reality to not be anything at all. So I can just say and then come back into English.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I think we're about out of time. Is there anything else, Terrence, before you go and never come back?
Well, I'd like to end the talk by beginning a new talk. And this one will kind of range between about
for the love of
4 hours to 8 hours about contradiction, preparation, trying, not trying, irritating, doxing, and of course, glossolalia, which I'd like to do 8 minutes of.
Whoa, look at that. Oh, man, the retrograde strikes again, lost the connection. Thank you, Terrence McKenna, for providing us with 2.5 useless tips for have a summer. That's what Terrence is having, a something in the ether. Don't do anything that he said. Nearly everything that he said, do the opposite of that. JessaReed.com if you want more shit. You can find it there. Next episode will be out in October of 2023. See you then.